Hi, welcome back to Talking About Life with Lily podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. So, today I just want to talk openly with every single person watching, just to express myself and talk about why I think relationships are so painful with regards to the state of women and men. And I'll give you two instances. I work in a teaching hospital, and so I get opportuned to see people in different stages of life, and it burdens me. Normally I'm not even supposed to talk about these things, but it burdens me that many are not aware consciously, mentally, physically, and of the effects of the wrong relationships. And the reason would be probably traumatic experiences, wrong childhood, maybe someone bullied you or you feel low, maybe it can be low self-esteem, it can be so many things, so many factors that will drive someone to choose the wrong person, drive someone. It can be trauma, it can be not feeling loved and wanting to be loved by somebody, and then you go down the very wrong path of choosing the wrong person. And I have seen time and time again in hospitals the effects of two people coming together that are not properly healed, that are not properly mentally ready for being in a committed relationship. I'll give you this particular instance because it's so devastating to me. The rate of abandoned children, the rate of getting pregnant out of wedlock, and what that looks like, especially after the pregnancy takes place in a supposed relationship and the man decides that I'm not going to take responsibility for this, and so I'm going to flee. And then the young girl is left to the child in the hospital. There are situations where I've seen women die because they were abandoned by their boyfriend, and then the family is so burdened with the financial shooting of bills, and then she herself is dealing with the traumatic experience of being abandoned by the person that told her he loves her, and then she bleeds, and then she loses the baby, and then she loses her life. I have seen young girls. It's really hard for me to talk about because it just shows me how many of us are not conscious. The last one I saw was a 17-year-old girl. 17, let that sink in. A 17-year-old girl abandoned by the boyfriend. Family members are not really invested in her because of the pregnancy out of wedlock. And then she gives birth to the baby. She's managing the baby being abandoned while the guy that pregnant her has fled. And now she has to deal with the 17 has to deal with the responsibility of being abandoned and also navigating a new phase of life, being a mother. And this is just one of the many experiences I've seen. And I'm not going to throw men, out the gate and say they don't experience and they do experience a lot of heartache from relationships. They do experience a lot of painful situations from relationships. I was just scrolling social media, and you know and I've also looked at the society, and I've seen men transform from just being nice and mentally stable to one relationship, and they're mean, and they are out there in vengeance. Some of them are so numb that they've decided that I don't care about anything anymore. Like It's almost like relationship corrupts in a sense. It just destroys, especially when two people are not committed to making it work, especially when two people are traumatized from their childhood experiences, two people that don't know how to communicate, two people that are not ready for the responsibility. And so I'm not going to negate men. Another one I saw that sort of prompted me to come to social media and was the icing on the cake for me was the death of a patient. She literally died after giving birth to a stillborn, and the guy fled, and the stillborn didn't survive. And it makes me weep. I get that society doesn't talk about this enough. Society does not even highlight this enough. Society does not even like, we don't even have conversations. We do, well, supposedly we have conversations on social media and YouTube and other platforms, but it's almost like I just feel like so many voices out there are not highlighting before you get into a relationship, especially to the young ones, not even to the 20s, 23. I'm not negating them. I just told you about 17-year-old. 17-year-old, 21-year-old. I mean, it just, the one that died is 21. And it just makes me wonder, like, young girls, before getting into relationships, like, why are parents not teaching their young girls before you get into a relationship? I understand that this is how you feel and this is the situation, but like, thread carefully because you can literally ruin your life. And so also to the men also. Fathers should sit their boys down to have a serious conversation with them, not a conversation of, well, this is just a phase, so have fun. And then, no, it's like the moment they see their children, same thing with the girls also, the moment they see their children or their kids interested in somebody, there should be like a guidance. There's this wise book that I read, and I'm happy it exists. In a particular verse of the book, it states, there is wisdom in the multitude of counsel. And it so happened that the teenagers of these days don't really like counsel. And I get that there's a rebellious phase of life, but it just makes me wonder, like, it makes me burden, not even wonder, it makes me burden that relationships are destroying, killing people, ruining families. It is making children fatherless, making babies lose their mothers, making families lose their kids. Men are, it's just so much for me to deal with seeing this over and over again. There's so much that I can't take it anymore. Recently, I was just seeing social media a woman talking about, not even talking about, she literally wanted to jump a whole bridge, jump down from the bridge because her marriage didn't work out. She wanted to commit suicide. So it's more than just having masculinity talk on YouTube. It's more than just having femininity talk on YouTube. Not just YouTube, every other platform. It's more than just having these conversations. People need to understand people are dying, people are killing themselves, people are getting destroyed because of relationships. I have seen it. This is not something that I am trying to fake. I've seen the dead body covered. And I'm not I understand the whole thing of when you're working in the hospital, don't get emotionally attached or maintain your emotions and all that. But I'm a human and I'm bringing awareness. And I think more conversation should be had with this future generation, this present generation. Don't just enter relationships because you feel however you feel. Some people will probably say I'm saying it out of fear and I'm saying it out of because of my experiences, but it's almost like a realistic thing. If you check every single person's experiences, whether it's traumatic experience, whether it's childhood, whether it's sexual abuse, whether it is rape, whether it is family toxicity, whether it's lack of fatherhood and lack of toxic motherhood, whatever it is that you want to call, it's all tied to relationships. So the power of relationships is so huge that we cannot negate its influence in society. That's why I'm bringing awareness to it because I have seen how it has destroyed lives. I even have a personal story of mine with regards to relationships and how that broke me down and also built me up. But not so many people were able to be built up by those experiences. And so it's painful to me that I see people literally dying, literally wanting to commit suicide, literally losing their lives, literally being abandoned because of relationships. So people need to be aware, young people need to be aware. There's nothing like I'm just having fun. There's nothing like let's just come together with intimacy and do our thing and be on our way. Like we should start teaching the generation that we are in right now that every decision has effects. I don't care whether you think the effects will come later and then you worry about that later. It's like whatever you do has ripple effects. And I understand trauma is there and other factors are there to consider. But we need to start breaking cycles. We need to start breaking cycles because this thing of relationships, am I against it? No. I'm just saying there needs to be more awareness to the 15, to the 16, to the 17, to the 18, 19, 20, and upwards. That don't just because he says he loves you and because she says she loves you, and then you just want to jump into it. Think carefully, think thoroughly, stay in the multitude of counsel. People have lost their lives. People have ruined families. I don't even want to go through the several cases. Like people have been completely destroyed by the wrong person, by the wrong girl, the wrong boy, and everything came crashing down. This is not a joke. So I'm just going to probably beg society to be aware, beg you listening to me to be consciously aware of your decisions. So I'll see you in the next one and stay in the multitude of counsel. Don't forget what I said. See you in the next one.